welcome to yet another edition of Fabulous, and I'm very delighted to be here this evening. You know, we left from the celebration of Youth Week activities and we dived straight into Lovers Day. It was wonderful. We saw so many ways parents, children, and even toddlers, you know, expressing their way of love. I want to begin by saying that where I work, I met a child from 2 went stole 50,000 francs from the father's purse and bought serious gift that even me, I could never ever imagine to ever buy to that woman that I'm still to look for, you understand? Yes, you know, it's all about Lovers Day. All right. And I just understood that it is just the nitty-gritties of what love can push people to do, the old, the young, and even the average. It's all about Lovers Day. And after Lovers Day, we now move to serious issues because life still continues. Somebody told me, I no must necessarily show love all on that day because every day to me is a Lover's Day. I don't know about you, but I believe that truly every day should be a special day. You must express to somebody that you love the person, and the person should also tell you in return that he or she loves you. All right. Today we will be talking about, or we shall continue from where we ended 2 weeks ago. We're talking about how youth can be important in our society. We invited somebody who is a youth leader who gave us an insight, especially from the angle of the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. And I promised you that prior to the events that they are preparing, we will invite them again and together with this team so that we can have an insight of the role of Christian youth in a morally decadent society and what are youth in the Presbyterian Church doing to outplay and put themselves at the limelight where people can see and admire them. I kept to my promise because they are all here and we are going to make this program just as fabulous as you are. Today I have on my right, I'll begin with him because he's a regular face, Mr. Chair Vincent, who is, as I said, and who, no, let me not say who was, he is, and he's still to come. A youth leader, presbytery president, and a youth teacher too. I think sports teacher, if I'm not mistaken. I know your students are saying, hey, that's my teacher, Mr. Chair Vincent. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Abel.
I can imagine the adrenaline that is already increasing in your body as this issue of, you know, celebrating Diamond Jubilee of the Christian Youth Fellowship is, you know, approaching day in, day out. Can you tell us your feeling in about some seconds?
Yeah, thank you very much, Debel, for that question. I want to think that each organization celebrates Diamond just once. And we are actually leaving no stone unturned in order to make sure that we should not make mistakes that we may not have time to correct. So that's our way of trying to prepare. God being by our side, we believe that everything is going to be okay.
Okay. Thank you very much. I believe in the course of the program, you're going to unravel to us the package you kept and you brought. On my extreme left, I also have another youth leader, permit me say, dynamic as the presbytery president too. Somebody who have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly moments of CYF. I want to tell you something before I introduce him to you. He once told me that they went for a rally, just 2 of them. In a rally where people were coming 130, 80, he gave just 2 of them from a small locality called Buddha, and he did his best and show his underbelly. Let me introduce to you Mr. Jiang Jude. He is a youth president of, I think, the CYF Tukebe, and also coordinating youth of over 200 in a zone called Yaoundé Central Zone. You're welcome, brother.
Thank you very much, Deba.
And your impressions today. I know you are also in the team of those organizing this Diamond Jubilee. What are your impressions towards this grand event?
Yeah, on easy lies the head that wears the crown. Being involved in the organizing committee for this Diamond Jubilee, which we shall celebrate only once in the Christian Youth Fellowship. Besides, some of us had the opportunity of celebrating the Golden Jubilee some 10 years ago, and we are just struggling to put not to leave any stone unturned to make sure that the event comes. It is a wonderful one. By the grace of God, everything goes on well.
Amen.
I think we are elated.
All right.
By the grace of God.
All right. And they say behind successful men, we need, okay, thank you for the correction. Besides successful men, we need powerful ladies, you know, women of substance, women of punch, women that when they speak, people hear and they tremble. I am very delighted for the very first time to have here in the studio a lady who have really gone through all the ladders of leadership in youth activities in Christian setting. She had even threatened to be an elder in her church, and why not cheerleader as young as she is. She has been a zonal coordinator, zonal secretary, zonal songs, zonal events. She has prayed in many occasions, been president of her group. She's somebody who puts an eye in everything that youth of the church are doing to ensure that things should move on the right way. She has coordinated sisters, I mean girls, over 200 of this Yaoundé Central Zone, covering other regions and other cities here in the Central region, you know, to ensure that they move to the dictates of what Christian sisters should be and how they should act in a society. I'm very delighted, ladies and gentlemen, to introduce to you Mrs. Nangai Constance Bezea. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you, Debel.
And I know that it's your first time. Tell us your impression. How do you feel?
I'll start by thanking you, Debel, for bringing me to your show, the Presidential President. I'm very elated being here today this evening. And for the first time, I think I'm happy. I'm very happy being here.
All right. All right. This just shows that we are going to have a serious moment discussing about issues of youth, Christian youth, the church, the society. You must not necessarily be a Presbyterian, but so long as you believe in the same God that we believe, one God, one Spirit, feel free to get along, feel free to ask questions, feel free to send your worries, and feel free to also wish somebody happy Valentine's Day in arrears too, because it's all about, we are seeing in the month of love. Are we there? But before we dive into our crux of why we are here, let us have our jingle, and after our jingle, we set the ball rolling. All right. As I said, we want to begin this program in the next 3 minutes. We shall be talking about love. But let me start with the man on my right. How did you spend Lovers' Day? That's my only question. How did you spend Lovers' Day? Where, and I know with whom, is your wife? So go ahead.
Yeah, actually, you know, the 14th of February is a day that we struggle to see how we can rekindle love in the family, because love is celebrated on a daily basis.
Okay, you rekindle.
Yes.
Means after the 14th, it dies down.
You know, not that it dies down, but you rekindle it to make sure that you keep the flame burning. Yes. So actually, I celebrated it with my family. First of all, I went out to work because in Cameroon it's not a public holiday.
Yeah.
Thereafter, later in the day, when I came back, I celebrated, and I was surprised with the type of gift that my children offered me. Yeah, even my wife too. So I was amazed with what they prepared for me as a surprise, because we were already getting a little bit late, because I also went to church for practice. They were already calling and pressurizing, where are you, where are you? So I had to rush home. So when I came home, I said, but what's happening? He said, don't know today is Valentine's Day. I said, no, I knew that today is Valentine's Day, but I had other things to do. Anyway, I'm back. So what's up? And they told me, no, let me just sit down. So they thought they could surprise me. They didn't know that I also had a surprise for them. So it was quite a pleasant surprise on that day. So we celebrated as a family, and it went also well.
Okay, Mr. Jiangju Abungwa.
Yes, Debel.
How did you spend your Valentine's Day?
Well, of course, the 14th of February was a working day. We had to go to work to justify our salaries.
Oh, yeah.
And with that, after that, fortunately or unfortunately, he fell on the serious practice day, especially as we are preparing for the celebration of the Diamond Jubilee. And after that, we closed quite late from church. But I still had to struggle and get a gift. I had not yet passed my gift for my wife. I had to struggle, get the gift, pass it, and then I reached home a little bit late, but she was up waiting for me. Yes, and we celebrated as a family, and we offered ourselves gifts, and by the grace of God,
and continue the love.
Continue the love.
Very, very important. All right, I move to the only lady here. You know, she's the queen among all the princes that we have here. Could you tell us how you spent the 14th of February? I know women don't tell lies, they are always so true.
For sure, like my brothers have said, it was a working day. No food for a lazy man. After work, it was not easy, it wasn't easy at all. You know, working with the private sector is not easy. But we struggled and saw into it that we could exchange our own little gift the way we could do that particular day. I will not go into details.
I know. I know you will not go. All right. Don't ask me how I spent mine, because somebody's already sitting there and saying that as he's talking your own. I'll say mine. I prayed. Our Father, let the next year 14 not meet me when I'm again single. You know what I'm talking about. So I pray to God about the special person, and I thank God for her life. May God continue to bless us and see how this year is going to be. Amen.
Amen.
Let me continue. Don't ask me any question again. I am the moderator of this program. Nobody asks. Okay, we move. But you can also send to us how you spend your Valentine's Day. You're free. You have the numbers described on your screens. Do well to sign it. Tell us your name, the neighborhood where you're coming from, and maybe say hello to one or two persons. And still, remember, it's still the week of love. You can say Happy Valentine's Day, or you love somebody in a special way. It's very, very important. Maybe you don't know. Love that you express on TV has a different rate that it enters the person's heart. Though that one that you write and you send on phone, when you send on TV, the person knows that it's true. Because the whole world sees, the whole Yaoundé. Canal7 is everywhere in Yaoundé, so don't tell lies. So that when they see you somewhere with another person, they say, this, knowing that this person, this become write some message, don't say, so take note. All right, gentlemen, we move down straight to talking point and what we have to be discussing today. I started by saying the role of the role of Christian youth in a morally decadent society. What role can the Christian youth, first of all, let me begin, who is a Christian youth? And knowing the decadence of our society today, how can that Christian youth impart or make a change in an environment as such?
Yeah, talking about who a Christian youth is, I think a Christian youth is a young person who have decided to give his or her life to Christ. That is somebody who follows after the footsteps of Christ. And now talking about their role as far as the moral decadence of our society is concerned, I think if you are Christ-like, then you will not like anything that is not Christ-like. And you will surely be against all the societal ills, including the moral decadence. You will be like somebody who tries to correct them, not only with words, but you have to match them with your own actions, because actions speak louder than words. So I think a Christian youth in its right sense is somebody who has offered his life to Christ, to serve Christ, and to live according to Christ's ways, and to struggle to see that he also helps others to follow Christ. Because if you are a Christian youth, implies you are an ambassador of Christ everywhere you find yourself, by trying to teach others about Christ and help them to also become Christians, not only the youth, but you have to evangelize to everybody wherever you find yourself. And if you have an opportunity to do that, you should not limit yourself to a particular area, because you don't know when and how you can just talk to somebody and the person gives the life to Christ. So being a Christian youth is supposed to be somebody who is supposed to be a model in terms of Christianity. That when they want to talk about a Christian, they should say that young man, that young girl is a model, because you don't tolerate nonsense as far as morality is concerned, as far as sin is concerned, and all of that. So I think in a nutshell, that is who a Christian youth is.
Okay, talking about some of the things you've enumerated about sin, you don't need to condone when sin is concerned. I move to you, Nanga Constance. There are some, pundits who say that majority of the decadence we find in our society are perpetrated by those who claim, in quote, they have Christ, or they know Christ, or they follow Christ, as Mr. Vincent earlier said. Do you concur to such statements, or you feel that there is more to what people think, or they are just being blinded by, mere words of people or hearsays?
First of all, I'll start by saying that there is a difference between a youth, a Christian youth, most especially a youth in the PCC was passed through CYF, and that youth in the PCC was not passed through CYF. There's a great difference between those two youths. And so the first thing is, that's the way people look at the youth, especially when it comes to those who are inside the church, what we call Christian youth. They always think they are extraordinary human beings, but no. Now looking at what the ills in the society, there is a way a Christian youth will attack a particular, or will handle a particular situation than that youth who is not a Christian in a particular denomination, be it Presbyterian, Catholic, Baptist, wherever you find yourself as a youth. There is a way you will handle that particular situation. And it's very difficult to see a Christian youth commit such acts in public. Let me not say in public, because now the viewers will be like, means they can commit it behind this.
Okay.
Yes, it's very difficult to find a Christian youth who commits such acts, because the first thing is that he or she knows that what I'm about to do is wrong. He knows what is wrong and what is right. But it's different from he or she who is not in that milieu, because he has not been taught. And the truth is, when you pass through CYF, there is a lot you learn in CYF. That a youth in the society will not benefit from such teachings.
Okay. And
that's a privilege we have passing through the CYF.
Okay. Talking about youth, and especially youth in CYF, since today we are talking about CYF, though we want to use CYF as a sample to see the generalities of youth. I want to ask you the question, Jiangju Abongo, you're the president of one of the largest groups in the presbytery that Mr. Vincent heads as presbytery president. I want to ask you, have you got any challenges, knowing very well that you deal with youth coming from different angles? Some are just sometimes picked from anywhere, to come join the group. And you bear with me that maybe in closing from your group, you may have had some complaints that, Mr. President, I saw your member there. Mr. President, I saw you. When you have cases like this, how do you handle that? If you even had the cases, what kind of cases?
Yeah, anyway, the point is, when you bring together people who are from different walks of life, from different backgrounds, you are bound to work with different minds, different thinkings, and different frame of analysis. You're just supposed to see how you can gather everything and put in one melting pot. The point is, concerning the challenges that we face, the challenges are huge. They are enormous, because it is not easy. I think it is not easy to bring together youth compared to parents. Parents are generally more disciplined than youth, because maybe of age. But with the youth, we face a lot of challenges, like, some of them come from the quarters. They come with some mindset from the quarters. We are forced to remove the mindset from the quarters and instill the Christian mindset in them. So the process of change, in physics, we always talk about inertia, reluctance to move when you are stationary, or reluctance to, when you are already moving, reluctance to stop. So we face the challenge of changing their mindset from what is in the quarters to what we have I love the church. Then we also face the challenge of these members doing certain things that are not in line with Christian virtues. It is normal, because no person is perfect. Because for every 12 there's a Judah. But how do we handle the Judah? Those are some of the challenges that we face at the level of the movement. But I think that the work of God is going on well, because we are actually succeeding. The movement is growing. The years are passing. The years are going by. The movement is growing. The population of our zone and presbytery is growing, and we are bringing more souls to Christ. And the feedback is positive.
Okay. Yes. All right. Please keep sending your your messages. Keep sending your messages. We are going to have them. We are going to have your messages. I just wanted to find out. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair Vincent. I just wanted to find out what makes CYF different from all other youth groups. Now we are diving into the CYF. And maybe our televiewers may not know what CYF is all about. You tell us what CYF is all about, maybe some brief seconds, where it comes from, and what makes it different. Then from there, I think our other guests that we have here will have a follow-up questions from what we are going to have.
Yeah, CYF is actually an abbreviation that stands for Christian Youth Fellowship, a movement that is meant for the youth, one of the youth wings in the Presbyterian Church in Cameroon. This movement actually started way back in 1959, and it started with the Fellowship of Youth. After we went to the Bible Reading Fellowship, from there we moved on to Fellowship of Youth, and now we are at the level of a Christian Youth Fellowship. And just like the young youth said, we celebrated our Diamond Jubilee some 10 years behind, and now we are celebrating the Golden Jubilee. And now we are celebrating the Diamond Jubilee. We are different from other groups because we are a Christian group, firstly, and we have our different ways of doing things. Anybody who joins the CYF, even as an illiterate, before you get mature and leave the movement, you'll be able to read and write, you'll be able to communicate well, you'll be able to organize meetings and preside over them, and there are a whole lot of things that people learn from CYF when they could not have learned them anywhere. It's not all about, we know people have gone to school, but when they are being called up to organize a simple meeting and preside over, it becomes very, very difficult for them. But in CYF, that is one of our trademarks, in addition to our spirituality, because those that come to CYF, before they leave the movement, at least they are being changed, because we are like mechanics in a garage. That whenever a car owner brings the car to the garage, irrespective of the nature of that car, but he needs the car to come out of the garage already ready for use. So when members come into the group, most of them come in like delinquents. At times they come in with hidden agendas, but we don't bother about the hidden agendas, because we always change them. We always change them, and for the better. Some come in because CYF is a group that has a variety of activities. We do singing, sports, Bible study, brain trust, and you can name the rest. So much so that one of these activities may catch the attention of a member who will just be coming in believing that that's the only activity in CYF. But when this member comes in, before he discovers, he will start developing interest in other activities. And by so doing, we discover that we nurture the member, we mold the mind, and the mind now becomes mature in terms of knowing the Bible, brain trust, and the spiritual life also increases. So I think CYF is actually a place to be. But some parents have their own personal reasons why they think their children should not join the movement. But I want to think that they are making a fatal error, because most of those children at the end, they cannot really measure up with those that went through CYF. It's true we have some other youth wings, like the Children and Youth Choirs Association, the student choirs, and all of that. But CYF happens to be the umbrella of all these other units in the youth department, because they spearhead all the other activities. And through CYF, most of our leaders in our church, just to show that CYF is a very strong, most of our leaders in our church are all members, former, in fact about 95% of them.
Why not extend to see that most other churches that we have outside, like Pentecostal churches, owned by some of these that you in quote you call papas, the mamas, and all and all, were all also groomed from this same CYF. It was just an addition. For instance, we can talk about Kingship of Douala. We know was a bona fide CYF member from Bonaberi. I was just giving an insight.
Yeah, so thank you very much for the addition. So you see, CYF is actually a school where people attend without paying any school fee. So those parents who think that they can still hold their children behind might be out of ignorance, in quote. We are advising that they should rethink and send their children to CYF, because CYF is a place to be.
All right, let me ask you, Naga Constance. I know that we are gradually like taking the steam up, and messages that keep coming in. There came a time when an issue came into CYF brought by the synod about the issue of age limit, and we know many of you out there watching the program, and you're a Presbyterian. You know, some hallowed and applauded for the decision. Okay, let the old week, let them go, let them go. Some said no, it's going to hamper the tomorrow of the movement. I want to ask you, you were a leader when that decision was taken. How did you manage it? What was your own stand, and how did you sail through? Maybe someone will be out there and say, but she's still young, and maybe she's no longer at 12. Remember, how did you sail through in that difficult moment? Because I must say it was a difficult moment in the life of the movement.
Thank you, Aziz. Like you said, it was a very difficult moment.
Yeah.
But again, PCC is a church of order. When the synod has taken a particular decision, there is nothing we can do other than implement that particular decision. At that particular point in time, we had nothing but to respect it. But again, there was a clause that pastors should apply it with tact and wisdom. And I believe the tact and wisdom was applied in some areas, while in some areas it was not applied.
The pastor said they
They
don't
don't
have
have
wisdom.
They don't have wisdom and tact to handle that particular issue. And you find some people moving from the CYF and today they are in the pastor's group or just in the society because of that, because they left CYF unceremoniously. But I want to believe as time went on, about 2-3 years, the synod realized, or the national office realized, that it was not necessary for that law, for that decision to be taken. That's why they had to revisit the decision and come back to what is at hand now concerning the age limit in CYF. And mind you, CYF presently, you have people who are up to the task. That's the first thing. If we have to limit CYF to 35 years, I bet you all these projects they are earmarking for the CYF to carry it out will be very difficult.
Just to 25.
Yes, 25 years. Because in Cameroon, at 25 years, I don't see any youth who is independent. That's the first thing. A youth at 25 years who has a job and is well doing at 25 years, and at 25 years is already in the limit, which means a youth at 18, 19, you are not independent. So it's very difficult. First of all, at the level of the groups, you find it's very difficult for members to pay their dues of 1-2 for a year.
That's 200 francs for registration, then 100 francs for monthly dues.
It's very difficult for members to pay that dues. Then now it comes to projects and all the financial constraints that you have in CYF, and so it becomes very difficult for CYF to carry out certain activities in the group and in the church as a whole. And so when that particular decision was looked upon, I want to believe it's somehow favorable for the youth of the PCC now, because you find members of 28, 29, 30, right up to 35 years in the CYF. And so I think it's manageable now, because at least CYF can stand up and own up to their responsibilities and help the church in one way or the other.
Okay, before I get to you, Jiangju, let me read these messages. They are coming in like rain. Rita Nash from Way, my vows day was the best. Why? I offer my dad and mom a gift for my first time. God bless you. But I still need to find out if that's the truth, the stuff I'm talking about. All right, this one comes from Von Collins. It's really, really, really long. All right, he says, the role of a Christian youth in a moral decadent society is to strive to be like Jesus, who remains an open Bible for us to read. If every youth desires to be like Jesus, who is our number one youth, then we won't be talking of decadence, but of a morally mature society. Every Christian youth simply need to be the model of Christ. Von Collins from Etukebe Yaoundé. He continues by saying, CYF remains the university for Jesus, of Jesus. Everyone who gets there leave with flying colors. Just look at the lady by you. Her successful graduation is enabling her to wear the t-shirt she is putting on. But remember, the few who leave CYF with good result are the reasons why we are still in this race of evangelism. Stephen from Collins. Collins says, if some of us, or maybe some of them who are still in the movement, if they are there, it's because of the good result those who were there had left or the footprints they had in the movement. I come to you, Mr. Jiangju, in connection to what she said. You were also a leader when that decision came in.
Yeah, I was.
In some groups, we saw an aspect of radicalism that maybe gave to the outside world that are those really Christians? Did you experience that in your movement? And if yes, how did you manage to handle it? And if no, what mechanisms did you make your members not to feel radicalized or not to make the whole issue, a talk of day? Because she said, the church, the PCC is a church of order. Once the decision makers take the decisions, we just need to follow.
Yes, specifically in the central zone, which I now head. Presently, we had some groups that were really touched by this issue of age limit. Precisely in my group, Tukebe, we did not have, we were not really touched by the decision because most of the members by then were all members who were within the age, the 25 years age limit. But now, as a leader at the level of the zone, we had to handle other groups in the zone who that were actually affected by this, because he even reached the point where so many of the members left the group angrily and never joined any other movement in church. Some of them were just rigmaroling, lingering around, and what we just had to use tact and wisdom to see how we could use the ingenuity and good faith of some of our church leaders to see how we could bring them back on road. That even if they were to leave the movement, it should not be in that manner. At least they should be leaving the movement to other groups, other choirs where they can still serve God. So precisely in our group, we did not have much of a problem, but in the zone, we had problems that we had to handle, and we handled it with a lot of tact and wisdom.
Okay, Mr. President, I start with you with the question of age limit, because you were and you are still a living witness, an actor, a major actor during the saga of the age limit issue. I call it a saga because it created news. My role as a presenter is to give the facts as they were. It created a saga in some presbyteries until some person said, "You should not condition me how to serve God," and people even went to the extent of faking, doing fake ID cards, doing fake birth certificates to prove their youthfulness. I want to ask you this question. Is there something, is there an intrinsic value in C1F that makes people not want to leave? And during that period of age limit, you were there, you saw it, and permit me use the word, you conquered. Should we know as a leader that you are, the presbytery president that you are? Because from your answer, I'm going to ask you some few questions about the reaction of parents and the reaction of even C1F members who believe there is no spirituality in the Presbyterian Church, and why not C1F? That will come to you. Let me ask you about the age limit and the issue. How did you handle that era?
Well, a bad situation, if poorly presented, can make it worse.
Correct.
What actually happened is that some of our spiritual leaders did not present the issue so well, just like Constance said. That
so does it mean that spiritual leaders have a problem of communication?
Just like I said, as human beings, we can always have some, though spiritual leaders that can still have problems.
No, you know what I'm saying? So because it's the first time I'm hearing that, because I know of some Christians, some friends, whether their pastors go up or they come down to them, their pastors is the perfect, the true representation of God on earth.
God has at least endowed us with some knowledge of discernment that we can at least analyze and understand certain things.
Hallelujah.
Not necessarily judging, but I want to think that the issue would have been digested by the youth, because we are the youth in the church and we don't really have the power to oppose our leaders and tell them that they cannot do this. But if an idea is poorly presented, I think you have some stiff opposition from the youth. You have serious stiff opposition, and that is exactly what transpired during that time. The youth were not sensitized on the need, because apparently what transpired, some pastors in certain areas, because of their own personal motives, decided that the age limit should be reduced, and they actually went in for voting, and they just had 50 plus 1. Just a relative majority, not an absolute majority, that could have been convincing that it was necessary for the age limit to be reduced. That's the reason why, after taking such a drastic decision in quote, the movement started collapsing, I want to thank God for the visionary nature of our new moderator who came up, and he's the one who actually tried to revive the decision, because he also faced the challenges in the field before even being elected as a moderator. So he went there and was taking the decision with a lot of experience, and having worked in the youth department as a Sunday school for long, and presidential secretary who was actually interacting with the youth, both in the East Mungo South, then that consisted of Mungo and the West, and of course the East Mungo South itself now. He later on came up to East Mungo North, where he still had some stiff resistance too. And finally things were resolved, especially as far as the age limit was concerned. You see, youth are not fools. I mean, I think in Cameroon, we are very, very educated, and we just need to be informed, educated on why we think this should be done, and convince us. It's not because you can just sit and just take a decision. I think that we just give it down. We just, I mean, we are not just tabula rasa. So we at least analyze. Our discourse is not convincing. We will come back to you that, but why the change? And if you cannot convince us and you are imposing, then that's when you have the resistance. So I want to think that insofar as that decision was taken, we want to thank God that they have been reversed, and it actually affected the movement so much, so that some of the Christians who were in the movement then just left and went to the pastors group, and somehow even know what we found out in the PCC. So I think anyway, it's always good to catch up than to fail forever. Yes.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presbytery President. Gentlemen and lady, I want us to go a little bit faster, because in the next 20 minutes we shall be talking about the celebration proper, what we have done so far. But before we get to that, let me bring this issue. It's very important. There are parents watching at this program now. There are Presbyterians. There are also CY members watching, and non-CY members, non-Presbyterians watching the program. This is what we have been having in the yesteryears. Parents refusing their children to join the CYF because they say CYF is a group wherein we have 2-2, since it's a mixed group, boys and girls, and things may bound to happen. Number two, people say, some CYF members or some youths who say, youths who are no longer in the Presbyterian church, but who were in the Presbyterian church, move out, say, okay, in the Presbyterian church, the manifestation of the Holy Spirit is not there, and it also extends right up to the CYF. They don't do the Bible, they don't evangelize, they don't speak in tongues, they don't do this, they don't do that. As youth leaders, all of you seated here, you are youth leaders. You have been a youth leader. You are still a youth leader. You are still a youth leader. How do you manage to protect and defend the spiritual values of a group ordained and instituted by God, like that of CY? Because the news have finally gone viral until it became sometimes very difficult to convince parents of the raison d'etre of children, young and serviceable, being in a movement like that. I want to begin with you, Constance Nanga. You're a woman and a sister now, a sister and a woman now. How did you manage to go through issues like that when they had to tag the group, a 2-2 group? I cannot send my child there. A group where people disrespect, I cannot send my child there, and so on and so forth in the aspect of ladies.
Thank you, Debel. The first thing is there is ignorance. There is ignorance in it, and it's high time we clear this mess up, because the CYF is what it is today, and the CYF has produced a lot of products. Let me say so. And any parent with that idea that CYF is a 2x2 group, or CYF is not spiritual, or CYF is this, or CYF is that, you, the parent, you have a problem. Because the first thing is, you have a daughter in the house or a son in the house. Before bringing that daughter or son to CYF, that child has some home training back at home. Which home training did you first of all give to that son or daughter of yours back at home? Bringing that son or daughter to CYF is for us to mold him or her. And you have members who come to CYF, or youth who come to CYF with already a pre-notion or a pre-idea in their minds. And when they come to CYF, they don't find what they were coming to get in CYF. That's why you see them with all sorts of stories. And there's one thing, they talk of spirituality in CYF. I begin to wonder if there is a spiritometer to measure people's spirituality in church. Because people who leave the CYF or the PCC in the name that there is no
Manifestation of the Holy Spirit.
Spirit in the PCC or in the CYF, I begin to wonder where they will get the Holy Spirit, or where which means they'll keep on moving.
Maybe the
from
PCC
one
does
church
not
to
cast
another.
out demons. The PCC does not say out in Jesus' name.
Who says so?
Maybe,
Who says so?
maybe
There is one
speaking
conception.
tongues.
There is one conception with people nowadays. They want ready-made things.
Okay.
They want ready-made things. They want things on the spot. They want where they will go and they will pray. They will touch them. They will fall. They will roll on the ground. But it comes from your heart. It comes from your faith. If you lack the faith, permit me say that you will not receive the miracle you're looking for. It comes from your faith. I, for one, I've been in the PCC for, I cannot count since I was a child. I'm a born Presbyterian.
Okay.
And so when I get people talking about PCC the way they are doing, it pisses me off, because what I have achieved as a lady, being a Presbyterian, being a CYF, is too much.
You are a model.
Yeah, this time we have here is too small for me to.
I know.
To say, oh, what I've achieved.
I will invite you for a one-on-one chat. Yeah.
And so PCC still remains a model church, whether we like it or not.
Okay. Mr. Zhangju Abungwo, you are the president of a group worth 130 members. And definitely these examples I'm giving are real and palpable in your movement. How do you do to manage this? The issue of 2-2, you bring my daughter, this is a group where, they come and cohabit. Well, how do you manage that? And is it true? And if it's true, have you been able to witness such cases and even handle them?
Well, the issue of CYF being 2x2 is an issue that started way back when the movement started.
Okay, so it means you agree that it's 2x2, or the issue of talks?
The issue of talks of 2x2,
okay.
Actually, that's what I'm talking about. It was started way back when the movement started, way back in the 1950s. That's exactly 1959, because it was a mixed group. Yes, because the men's group is not mixed. The women wing is not mixed. Just the youth wing that has boys and girls, YP and CYF. So it's been a talk for some time. Because of ignorance, like one of us, I think you said, because of ignorance. At the level of managing or handling it at our various groups, I want to say that the issue of 2x2, meaning dating in the group, is not really, if it is done, but it is how it is done. Because we have had several products of CYF. I think if I start naming listings in CYF, the list is so long.
Really long,
And you don't just you don't just get married. We have rules and regulations.
Yeah.
If you wish to get married to a sister in the group or to a brother in the group, there are rules and regulations that you need to follow. The path you need to take. I'm talking because I'm a living example. I got married.
You're happily married.
Happily married to a CYF member. Bride in the group. And we followed the rules and regulations of the group, and we ended up married. Of recent, we have had several, even before me, we had several people who got married.
And you're going to celebrate another marriage just
tomorrow? I think tomorrow is Saturday,
yes.
We are preparing for another marriage in the group.
Yeah, still
so just to say that the issue of 2x2 is not an issue that should tag the group negatively, but we should use it. They say the Bible says that all work together for good for those who believe in trust in God.
All right, gentlemen, I want us to dive now into the celebration proper. That's why I kept my little line. I said PP. Mr. Presbytery President, Young and Serviceable 2019, what special thing and package do you have for Cameroonian youths, for the Presbyterians and for the youth? 10 years ago we celebrated our golden jubilee. By then you were not the Presbytery President. Today you are opportune. It's a lifetime opportunity to celebrate this. How far? What have been the preparations on ground? Cameroonians and youth, how they want to know.
Okay, talking about the
Diamond Jubilee.
Yeah, the Diamond Jubilee proper here in the East Mongo, because it's something that is going to be celebrated nationwide, and the diaspora already celebrated.
Yes.
Normally this celebration was supposed to take place last week, but because of the crisis in the north and southwest, the lockdown, we could not celebrate here in Cameroon, keeping our brothers in the west of the country away from this. That's why it was shifted ahead 2 weeks, so that we can still have time to 1 week, so we can have time to manage it. And so far so good. In the East Mongo North Presbytery, we actually started some steam since in January. We had to pre-launch this eventful activity at PCC Meyong, during which we had to raise some funds in order to assist our internally displaced members, because we have quite a huge number that they are coming in from the north and southwest region. They are here with us. We thought charity begins at home, and if they are here, we need to also like share in their distress, because it is not out of willingness that they decided to live where they are to come here. So we thought in our own little way that we cannot just be celebrating while we have people here that are under distress. So we had to raise some funds, and there's an NGO, Canal7 Harmonie, that also donated some T-shirts that we shall be sharing to them, in addition to what we are going to buy. And of course, we intend to also visit some orphanages around Yaoundé to make them feel that it is not all about celebration, but to also make them understand that as Christians, we must carry out our Christian duty, which is outreach to the needy during moments of celebrations like this. So we shall be doing that by next Friday, and we shall also be inviting some youth choirs of other denominations for them to also come and witness what the PCC youth are capable of doing. And we think this is a way of making them to understand that at least something is happening in the PCC. And of course, in order to immortalize this activity, in addition to the national fabric, the uniform, number 2, the social wear, we here at Love of the East Mugo North, we have also produced some T-shirts that are very, very,
I think it's
high
a
quality
notable idea,
and we are not limiting them only to SWAF members, but to veterans and even to other presbyteries, because as of now, we have had demand from the southwest, the northwest, and the littoral. In fact, all the 3 regions of our church, they are in need. So we are just running short of capital. We have produced more and supply to them.
All right, I'll come
because
back.
Even the material itself is finished.
Yeah, it's finished.
So this is the only thing that many people can actually write home with, because without which they will just celebrate the Diamond Jubilee with nothing to write home with. So we are encouraging them that if they really need, they should get to us so that we can see how we can get to them, so that they should at least have a feel of what is going to be happening on that
Very true.
That day.
I want to come to you, Nanga Constance. You are a veteran. How does it feel like being a veteran and celebrating Diamond Jubilee as a veteran? What input to the youth now?
Well, the first thing is I was privileged to celebrate the Golden Jubilee, but I'm not privileged to celebrate the Diamond
as an
active SWAF member. But notwithstanding, not being a SWAF member doesn't deprive me
from having the SWAF spirit.
Celebrating this particular Jubilee with the SWAF or with my brothers and sisters. And this day, I want to bet you it's going to be one with a difference. With all the mobilization that I see around, with all what is going on, I bet you it's not going to be easy. And permit me, with the help of the PP, we need funds. That's the truth about it. And so, open tender,
fabulous tender.
Yes, we need the funds, because it's the national office is in need of these funds for the water borehole project. And so we are calling on well wishers. The SWAF is open, and so we are waiting for your support on or before the 3rd of March.
Okay, Mr. Zhangju, I come to you. You are a youth president of CYF, president of the group. How is your group galvanizing for this event? Because I know the president counts so much in your group, Simeon, Bastos, because Ekunu, Simbo, because these groups make up the main stakeholders of the success of the presbytery. How is your group preparing?
Well, by the grace of God, we are...
Maybe in 40 seconds, eh?
Yeah, in Low Stone to Turn. We are very much involved in all the activities that we will participate in during the celebration of the Jubilee. Of course, financially, just like she said, we need funds. We are struggling to... we're running helter skelter to put some money together, especially as to make our own contribution for the borehole that our movement, that movement will be offering to the church, and everything put together so that it ends well by the grace of God.
Okay, Mr. President, Presbytery, I want to find out, I know so far you have talked about the successes and what you have gone so far to make the occasion a wonderful day, but I believe you have also met some challenges And in addition to the challenges, who are we expecting to meet on that day? It's Diamond. Are we expecting all the names you know in the Presbyterian Church and even our society who've known about the CYF and the venue? How is logistics going to take place? Because I know you need to tell us the number of groups you're expecting and maybe a rough estimate of the total number of members you'll be having that day.
Okay, talking about the number of groups, we are expecting close to 32 groups. Okay. And this rally shall take place at the Presbytery seat of the East Mongo North Presbytery, that is at PCC Bastos, on the 2nd and 3rd of March. We shall start on the 2nd of March by 10 a.m. with evangelical dances. All the groups shall showcase their talents as far as the dancing is concerned. You know, we are trying to blend tradition and religion because we cannot completely keep that away. So, though they dance traditional dances, but there is a religious connotation because they use biblical messages and they use their traditional instruments to blend the messages, and that makes tradition and religion to be moving hands in glove. Yeah. And later in the day, we shall equally be having liturgical singing because we intend to give enough time for these groups to sing because they cannot take the whole year to prepare an activity and they are being pressurized over. So that's why we're taking serious measures to make sure that we start early enough so that we should not have what happened last 2 years, whereby groups were just
sardine.
Yes,
they were sardine.
Yes, so that is why we intend to start early, and we are counting on the collaboration of these groups because if they come early, we also start early.
Correct.
But we are going to penalize groups that will not be there on time.
Correct.
When we shall do the balloting. When they come, because we intend to have the dancing run from 10 to about midday, then we'll have a break by midday to about 1. Then by 2, we should be starting with the liturgical singing so that people can also finish early and go and rest and come back the following day. And we shall ensure that all the groups should have enough space to sleep, but we are equally encouraging the Yaoundé-based groups to hand out their cooking to their former SOAC members because we may not have enough space there for cooking because we shall be mounting canopies all over, so that the limited space can be given to the groups out of Yaoundé to cook. So that's our plea. It's only by so doing and by collaborating that we can make this event a successful one.
Okay. Now we are running closest to the end of this program. I want to start with my veteran member. Should you have a word to this darling movement of yours, what will you say? A word, an encouragement to them.
I will tell them to keep running the race of faith. It's not easy. People will throw stones at them because I have passed through it. People will insult you. People will tell you all sorts of things. But because you know the God you're serving, you know what you're looking for in CYF, just keep on moving on. By the time you know it, your blessings will be double.
A word of a wise woman. I go to you, Mr. President Yang Jude. You are representing all other group presidents here, you know, in terms of group president, because the president will conclude everything. What word of encouragement if you were to talk to your group now, assuming that all SOAC they are watching at you and other presidents are watching at you, they want to tap a word that will ignite, you know, that zeal to motivate them to go to the rally? What will you say?
The harvest is plenty, but the laborers are few.
Oh yeah.
And the Bible tells us that we should do the work of him who sent us, because night is coming when no one will be able to work. So I think that it's about time for them for some of them are just starting, some of them are just starting in the movement. They still have a long time to go. Some of us have been there for quite some time. If we could celebrate the golden jubilee, you can understand what they are talking about. As active CYF and even before that. So just to tell them that God's work can never die. That even if we men refuse to do God's work, God will raise the stones to praise him and do his work. So we just keep giving them, encouraging them to continue doing God's work, because when you walk in God's vineyard, he also works in your own farm.
Thank you very much. Mr. Presbytery President, you have the yam and the knife, you have the word. Speak, your servants are listening.
Thank you very much, Debel. I'll start by really encouraging the SOAC members first of this presbytery that we cannot be in a
I understand. Permit me.
Peaceful.
Let me come, Mr. President. I want to do a record of your speech because it must go wide and far. Mr. President, can you now speak?
Yes, I was just saying that I want to encourage all the Christian Youth Fellowship members of the East Mungo North Presbytery that they should work very hard. That we cannot be in a peaceful environment, studying without any disturbances, and groups elsewhere that are in a turbulent environment should bypass us. I think the Southwest had their share of the national the Northwest had it twice. And I think this time around should be East Mungo and the East Mungo region, and it should be coming but to the East Mungo North Presbytery. I think we are up to the task. So I encourage all of you to get to work, read the material, be updated as far as brain trust is concerned, and be prayerful too. Come out with the quality exhibition and involvement activity. I want to think that if you do that, then I don't see how the first position is going to bypass us. Even if that two groups should be national first, they should come from our presbytery. We are up to the task. Get to work and work hard, and I will be having a special prize for a group that is going to emerge national first from our presbytery.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, dear televiewers. I know many of you who have been watching the program, you have written your messages. I can see that from Mr. Tefor, who is just congratulating the intellectuals we have here. Thank you, brother, for watching on the program. I also saw messages coming from Rita, who was happy, saying that for the first time her name has been read on TV. God bless you. I want to say, keep watching programs on Canal7 Harmonie, because we are here to harmonize your harmonious life and just to make it fabulous, because only when you're fabulous you get joy. Only when you're fabulous you can do fabulous things. I have been so enriched this evening with this wonderful gentleman and this beautiful lady by my side to tell you, keep the rendezvous next week Friday. Don't ask me how I'm going to be here, because I'll be here to give the final and the latest news concerning the celebration of the youth movement Diamond Jubilee of the CYF, maybe with some other persons. But before then, I know you love God, and if you love God, stay with him. Thank you very much. Have a fabulous weekend. Thank you very much.